Should you buy Fallout 4 in 2024? The first time I ever played Fallout 4 was its original release back in 2015. The hype was immeasurable, okay? It really was. Coming off the back of Skyrim, easily Bethesda's most successful and, fan favorite game of all time so far anyway. Who knows if we can get another game like that soon. I doubt it, because Starfield was crap in my opinion. But the hype was through the roof for this game, and I had never played any Fallout games up to that point. And when I first played it, I left with a sense of disappointment, because it wasn't quite that, that next generation, genre-defining, massive RPG that we all expected. And the same year, The Witcher 3 came out, so its competition was pretty, it was pretty fierce. But it's been nearly a decade. It's 2024 now. 9 years later, and the franchise was slowly dwindling. It's just the reality. Fallout 76, when that first came out, was an absolute disaster for many reasons, from greed, from technical issues, from just a lack of care. You could just tell when you played it, the care just wasn't there that time. The idea behind it was co-op, and that was cool, but there was just nothing to it. Now, the state of that game, that's another video, but today we're talking about Fallout 4. Now, if you don't know what Fallout 4 is, for whatever reason you've clicked on this video, thank you very much. Fallout 4 is an RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world. That's the best way to put it. Nukes go off, everyone's crying about the nukes, and it's set 200 years after the nukes. It's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up, but it's cool. It's got a cool world.
Ew. Oh my god! Stinks, though.
But, like everyone, the only reason after really talking about this game or replaying it is because... Oh my god, Jack. Just get on with the review. Why are you waffling? But the reason I'm saying all this is because going back to Fallout 4 was honestly a much more pleasurable experience than I expected. Going into it knowing exactly what kind of game it is and what it actually is going to provide you from an entertainment standpoint, going into it like that makes this experience so much more fun and just enjoyable. If you've never played Fallout 4, I think it's important to remember it did come out in 2015 and it's got all the Bethesda bugs, okay? It's the classic Bethesda experience in a lot of ways. It's not Fallout New Vegas, it's not Fallout 3, it's Fallout 4. And those games are actually very different to Fallout 4, okay? A lot of the criticisms that come to Fallout 4 is because the RPG stuff isn't really that great here. I mean, you've got your classic, your choices, your multiple endings, your factions, you've got all of that. But as an RPG, it isn't quite as good as New Vegas, from what I'm told, because I've never played New Vegas. I actually watched it on YouTube because I couldn't play it. I can't play it on my PC. I've got it on Epic Games Store. I can't play it. It just won't boot, and I can't be asked to go through all the fixes, which is why I played Fallout 4. But it is undeniable, even when you haven't even played the game and you just look at it, the RPG side of things for Fallout 4 is a downgrade. But everything else in Fallout 4, in my opinion, is actually much better. The shooting is better, the world exploration in my opinion is better, characters not so much, but from a general point of view, Fallout 4 is actually a better game than New Vegas. So let's break it down, let's start the story. So the story is very basic. You play as a father or mother, whichever you choose, and your son gets kidnapped, okay? That's it. You spend the whole game looking for your son. The best parts are when you meet other characters like Nick, who is actually a synth. Then you've got Piper, who's a journalist that wants to get to the nitty-gritty side of the story. Then you've got the different factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, the what are they called? The underground, the road people. I didn't really care about them. If you've played the Brotherhood ending, you know what happens to them. So you know what I mean. I don't know. I can't remember. Railroad. That's the one. So you got a bunch of factions as well.
You could head back to Sanctuary. I'll come visit. I promise.
Really? You will? Okay, I'll head over there right now. You promise you'll come visit, right?
What just happened?
But the story itself does not really offer anything super engaging. You're going to try and find your son, you're going to meet people that help you find your son if you do find your son, and that's about it. The story is really bad, and that's also one of the reasons the RPG stuff does get a lot of hate or criticism, and it's right, it's a rightful criticism. The story is not good. If you're coming into this game and you want a story experience like, The Last of Us but an RPG, or The Witcher 3's level of RPG-ness. That's not the best way to put it, but you understand what I'm trying to get across. You're not going to get that kind of game here, because it's not that kind of game. This is a first-person shooter with RPG elements. That's it. It's not an RPG and then first-person shooter. This is a first-person shooter or third-person. You can choose whichever, perspective you want, which is a really cool feature, but many games should actually start doing that. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's not a story game. However, the gameplay itself, I find it to be really satisfying, really fun, and it really surprised me, because when I first played it in 2015, I did not remember having a good time at all, to be honest with you. I thought it was really, really boring. But playing it now, the gunplay feels tight, it feels really enjoyable to play. It feels really enjoyable to actually shoot enemies here, and to be honest, I saw a lot of people complaining about the gunplay, but I don't think it's, awful. I think it's good, it suits it. But the key point is that it's enjoyable to play. You've got different enemy factions, like I mentioned, that play slightly differently. You've got the super mutants that tend to charge you with like bats or boards or whatever. Some human enemies do that as well, but most of the time, it's going to be the super mutants that are doing that. But then you've also got enemies that use mini nukes and use bombs strapped to their hands and all that. That's really fun. You've also obviously got the different animals that have been mutated, like cockroaches, death claws. I think that's what they're called, death claws, as well as like crabs, and there's a lot of different variety of enemies. I was going to list a bunch of them, but I can't be arsed. There's actually quite a lot. At the end of the day, it's really fun to shoot enemies. That's what I'm trying to get across. The variety is there, the gunplay is there. That part is really fun. But one of the bigger issues for me, outside of the story, is the world exploration. It doesn't really feel natural. When you're exploring this world, it definitely feels like the missions point you in that direction and kind of make sure you stay on that direction. So if you're going through the story, exploration really isn't going to be a thing you're going to be doing a lot. So that's why I recommend everyone, if you do play it, do the side missions, because those side missions are what makes you explore. They send you out to the different parts of the map. You get to explore these locations that you would not have done if you followed the golden path, I think people call it. So do the side missions. The side missions are actually worth doing. Most of them anyway. Some are just fetch quests, but that's a Bethesda thing, it's a Ubisoft thing, it's just a general thing that's going to be in these kinds of games from 2015 specifically. That was when it was really big, when fetch quests started to become a really big problem. But that's what you'll be dealing with. Customization is actually really cool, I think. It is very confusing at first, like the customization is not explained very well at all. You're going to be equipping things without realizing you're equipping them. You're going to be taking things off without realizing you've taken them off. And then you've got the power armor sides of things where you're adding on armor for your power armor. You're choosing what kind of power armor you want to use, but then you don't know what you've equipped for your actual like human body. So you get out the power armor and you realize you're half naked. It's very confusing at first. But once you play it for a couple hours and you get used to it, you'll figure it out pretty quick. But that's not an excuse. The UI could definitely do with an upgrade. I'm sure there's probably a few mods out there that have fixed it, but the UI isn't great. I know it's meant to be immersive with your Pip-Boy and all that, and I really appreciate that. The Pip-Boy idea is really cool, but it's still really clunky when you're navigating the UI, which is something you don't want to do. You don't want to be in the UI when you're playing a Fallout game, unless it's the Pip-Boy, using your map or something. You don't want to be going through lists and trying to figure out what this does and what this does and what this does. And it takes suddenly you fucking half an hour into the game and you haven't moved anywhere because you've been trying to figure out what the fuck is in your inventory because it doesn't make any sense. That's just me though. Right now, Fallout is really cheap. Fallout 4 is really cheap. A lot of the games are really cheap. There's a sale going on. I think you can get the Game of the Year edition for £4. £4 here in the UK. I don't know how much that is in dollars, probably like $8, $6, whatever. So right now it's on a sale. If you're going to be paying for it for that price, I'd absolutely buy it. It's worth it. It's £6. It's £4. It's absolutely worth buying for £4. What is that? That's like a Tesco meal deal, man. And Tesco meal deals really are getting more expensive. So it's a Tesco meal deal, man. Just buy it. You got hours of entertainment here. May not be your thing, but it's £4. You know what I mean? But that being said, though, if it goes up any higher, if you're looking at it and it's like £20, £30, or $30, whatever, I'd probably wait for a sale again, or just get it on Xbox Game Pass. You know what I mean? Game Pass is there. It's definitely an option. Yeah, anything more than like £20, nah, don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's not worth it. It's 2015. It's nearly a 10-year-old game. If it's more than £20, don't buy it. It's not worth it. But like I said, mate, it's still a really enjoyable experience. If this was 2015, right, and it was full price, I would pay full price for it. That's just me. There's enough content here to justify it, and it's fun. But these days, not so much. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on Fallout 4. Have you played it? Did you enjoy it? Do you still think it sucks? Are you going to buy it after this review? Please let me know. I'd really appreciate that. And go check out the Sticky Man, my second channel. There'll be more content coming out on that very soon. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support. For those that are still here, I appreciate it. I love you. Okay, that was too much. I'm sorry. Bye-bye.